22nd October 1947. Easily the blackest day of Kashmir. That was the day when tribesmen of Pakistan's northwest frontier province stormed into Kashmir, ransacking, looting, raping and pillaging the way across the state. They were finally halted at the outskirts of Srinagar by just a handful of Indian troops which had landed there with scant hours to spare. Kashmir was saved literally by a whisker. The story of the Kashmir War began at partition. The princely states had opted to join either India or Pakistan. But Maharaja Hari Singh, the Dogra ruler of the predominantly Muslim state, toyed with the idea of first joining India, then Pakistan, and even of remaining independent. As he vacillated, Pakistan decided to capture the state by force. Since they could not send in their own army, they decided to send armed raiders, led by officers and JCOs in civilian clothes, to do the job for them. This plan, Operation Gulmarg as it had been called, was the brainchild of Major General Akbar Khan. The wild, unruly tribesmen were supposedly on a jihad, but they had been paid well, given weapons, vehicles and equipment, and promised loot, plunder and beautiful women that awaited them in Kashmir. On the night of 22nd October, the Kabalis roared into the sleepy town of Muzaffarabad. They routed the single battalion of Kashmir state forces there, plundered the town, killed the menfolk and took the women away in captivity. The raiders spent the entire day looting the town and then moved onwards towards Uri and Baramulla towards Srinagar. As the gravity of the situation began emerging, Brigadier Rajinder Singh, the Commander-in-Chief of the Kashmir State Forces, rushed towards Uri to stop the raiders. He took around 200 men with him, cooks, clerks, washermen, anyone he could find. His men took positions on the low hills around Uri and opened fire on the long line of Kabali trucks moving on the Uri-Srinagar highway. The first one was set ablaze and the road blocked. They then demolished the iron bridge on the Neelam river. Brigadier Rajinder Singh was killed in that battle, but the 36 hours they gained there proved invaluable later on. The extent of the disaster was slowly unfolding. A panic-stricken Maharaja Hari Singh appealed to India for help. But India could send troops to Kashmir only if it was part of the Indian Union. Finally, on 26th October 1947, Maharaja Hari Singh signed the instrument of accession. Kashmir became part of India. Even then, it was almost too late. The tribesmen could have stormed into Srinagar and easily taken over that undefended town. But they halted at Baramulla, the picturesque hill town 35 kilometers from Srinagar. The same carnage of Muzaffarabad was repeated here. The town was razed, the St. Joseph's Convent and Church destroyed, the nuns brutally raped. Of the town of 18,000, just around 6,000 survived. The raiders stopped for 2 days here before being urged by the Pakistani officers to move on ahead to Srinagar. Here they were told even more beautiful women, even greater bounties awaited them. Local Kashmiris also joined hands. self-defense militia were formed, and individual Kashmiris rose up to gain precious time. Maqbool Sherwani, a 19-year-old student, rode up on his bicycle to the raiders and deliberately misguided them by giving them wrong directions to Srinagar. When his ruse was discovered, he was captured, tortured to death, and brutally crucified by the Kabalis. But actions such as these gained the time that enabled the Indian Army to fly in. The first flight of 4 Dakotas took off from Palam Airfield at 6 in the morning on 27th October. In it were soldiers of 1 Sikh and 13 Field Regiment. As they approached Srinagar, they did not even know if the airfield was safe or whether it was in enemy hands. Had even one detachment of raiders reached the airfield, all they had to do was place a truck on the runway and there would have been no landings thereafter. But though the raiders were closing in, the town and its precious airstrip were safe. So far at least. At 8:30, the first Dakota touched down. The Indian Army had arrived. It was still touch and go. Colonel Roy, the commanding officer of 1 Sikh, had just 2 companies, and already the tribesmen were baying in the hills around the town. He organized a quick flag march in Srinagar and then moved to Patan to delay the raiders there. For 48 hours, his battalion fought a grim rearguard action in which Colonel Rai himself was killed. But each hour they gained brought in more aircraft and even more troops flying in. With just 8 odd Dakotas carrying around 30 men each, the build-up was slow. By 31st October, just 2 battalions and a brigade headquarters, 161 Infantry Brigade, had flown in. It was a meager strength. There were around 7,000 heavily armed raiders concentrating for an attack on the town. On 2nd November, around 700 tribesmen tried to attack the airfield. They were halted at Bagdam by a gallant action by Major Somnath Sharma and his company of 4 Kumaon. His last radio message was, "The enemy is 50 yards away from us. I will not withdraw 1 inch, but fight to the last man, last round." The situation was getting increasingly critical. Sardar Patel flew to Srinagar to bolster morale and emphasize the importance of holding on. He also promised much needed reinforcements. Around 7th November, a large force of raiders was detected by a reconnaissance aircraft at Shalateng, just 7 kilometers from Srinagar. In a calculated gamble, the commander, Brigadier Bogi Sen, assembled all the men under him and launched a 3-pronged attack on the raiders. The raiders were in an open field, their trucks parked to the side, confident, not expecting any Indian attack. Surrounded by 2 battalions, with a troop of armored cars in the rear, Tempest aircraft tracking them from above, the raiders were sprayed with fire and then the infantry charged with open bayonets. Over 700 raiders were killed and the rest chased back along the road from where they had come. The Battle of Shalateng tilted the scales and the immediate threat was staved. Srinagar was saved, but the Kashmir War continued for 15 months thereafter. Along the entire front, from Jammu, Srinagar and Ladakh, a series of battles were fought as the army recovered the positions lost in the initial days. Then, on 31st December 1948, the UN-sponsored ceasefire came into being and the fighting slowly receded. But the sound of gunfire never stopped. The line of control came up in the areas occupied by Indian and Pakistani forces, and there, along that jagged line, even today, firing erupts almost on a daily basis. It was a close call, a very close call. What if the raiders not stopped to loot and rape at Muzaffarabad and Baramulla? What if the Uri bridge had not been blown? What if Maqbool Sherwani and other Kashmiri patriots not diverted them away from Srinagar? The Indian army would not have been able to land there, and Srinagar would have been lost. With it perhaps all of Kashmir. But individual actions gained us time, and those precious hours and minutes saved Kashmir, shaped its destiny, and perhaps that of the entire Indian subcontinent.